Great start to week 2, Commanders and Packers. And how about the finish to week 2 as well? A Monday night football doubleheader. One at 7, one at 10. Bucks, Texans at 7. Chargers, Raiders, both coming off upsets in week 1.
Monday night.
Speaking of upsets,
It's okay.
look at old Petey Prisco starting 11-6 in week 1.
Tortoise and the hare.
Kyle, 6-11.
Well,
You know what's great about this week is I don't have to look at last year's record anymore.
that's actually right. Hey, come here. Fresh start, buddy.
I was awful last year, and I'm off to a great start. Now he's got the awfulness with him.
It was tough. We got our backs against the wall. We're going to find out what these teams are really about this week.
It's just week 1. Chris Hassel, Kyle Long, Pete Prisco. Pete, you owe those YouTube commenters an apology and maybe some money, because they all said they were going to fade you in week 1.
How'd that go?
Guarantee their winnings, and that did not work out well.
Didn't work out well for him.
Your picks came through.
And you know what? Should have had a couple other ones. Should have had the Bears last night, and should have had the Saints throwing shots into the end zone at the end of the game. So
Pete never satisfied.
Nope.
But 5-game lead and a great start to this season, Pete. I think this is the first time in 4 years you've been above 500.
I'm usually bad on the first week too.
Well, the first game of week 2 is a really good one. 2 of the top contenders in the NFC. It's the Packers, 3.5-point home favorites against the Commanders. And Pete, not only were your picks good, you're looking good with your pick to win the NFC in Green Bay after what they did to Detroit.
But I feel good talking about the Packers now that I'm with the Green Bay Packer. I mean, you went to Lambeau, you did the Lambeau Leap. I mean, he's a Packer now.
Behind enemy lines. Behind enemy lines. Research purposes.
I heard you went out and bought some Packers gear.
It was fun. The cheese curds were good.
Did you buy some Packers gear?
By the way, Pro Shop at Lambeau, that place is immaculate.
Did you get some?
No, I just got cheese curds and beer. Spotted cow.
Okay. Look, the Packers looked really good last week, and particularly on defense. And that's one of the things I thought we would see from them. Growth from young players. Edgerrin Cooper, I said he would be in the Defensive Player of the Year talk. I don't know if he's going to get there, but he's going to be an all-pro linebacker. He is that good. Wyatt playing for a deal, he is that good. Van Ness showed up and played well. And then you throw Micah Parsons on top. I love what they've done on defense. The offense is still kind of feeling its way. I think once they get all the receivers back, then we'll get a better idea. But they can do a lot of things. They got 2 tight ends. They can run the ball. They're physical up front. I love this team. I think they win this game. I think they cover against Commanders. Out on the road on a Thursday, tough to do.
Yeah, this is going to be all about how that defense shows up. And we know the X factor for the Commanders is Jaden Daniels. But that guy that you mentioned by the name of Edgerrin Cooper, he can be anywhere at the drop of a hat on the football field. So for Jaden Daniels, he's got to be aware of Edgerrin Cooper. I love the Packers in this one all the way.
What about Washington?
He's a Packer now.
I know that's the talking point here because they were your pick. You were there last week. They looked so good against the Lions. I feel like we're kind of looking past the Commanders a little bit, because you just assume that maybe Daniel's going to kind of come back to earth a little bit in year 2. They're not going to make that playoff run like they did, and look what they did in week 1 to the Giants.
Yeah, but it's hard to get a gauge on them because the Giants are a bad football team, and Russell Wilson was really bad.
Deebo Samuel looked good in his debut.
They did, and they did a lot of. Look, Jaden Daniels is a big-time player. He's going to be a big-time player, and I think he's going to put up numbers again this year. In fact, he's a better passer now than he was a year ago. We're going to get that from him. But again, there are still questions about this team as well.
They're going to challenge the interior offensive line of the Washington Commanders. Go watch the Giants game. Although there were some plays that didn't finish with a sack, there were bodies on the ground for the Commanders' offensive line. So keep an eye on Micah Parsons, where they line him up, A gap, B gap, C gap. He could be anywhere. We used to call him Waldo. Where's Waldo? Find him. Get him blocked.
Well, what do you think of his overall performance in his first game? Played about half the defensive snaps, came up with that late sack.
Well, look, he's still trying to figure out who the hell the guys are he's playing next to, and that's half of it. You know, you go play pickup basketball with somebody, it might take 1 or 2 games for you to figure out what the spacing looks like, what kind of moves you default to if you're getting blocked, how do you counter. For Micah Parsons, it's going to be effort and skill will take over early on, and once he figures out the chemistry portion, the Packers are going to be very scary.
Just set the pick. I'll shoot the jumper. We got it made.
Okay.
Pete, you can't shoot it over anybody.
Are you kidding me?
You're 5'1".
Have jumper, will travel.
You will travel, and we'll call you for it. Both the guys like the Green Bay Packers to start off with maybe the 2 most impressive wins of the season through 2 weeks. If they do get it done, Green Bay -3.5. They think they will cover as well. That's Thursday night football to kick things off in week 2. Pushing the pile, I saw yesterday's episode, winners and losers from every week 1 game. How about today?
Today, Trench Takes, new sponsored segment. And also, we got JP Acosta on there. Huge ball knower.
Yeah.
Check him out.
More so than Prisco. That's why you guys kicked him off the show this year, right?
Oh.
I kicked myself off, I think.
Jeez.
Too old. You can't do this many segments. When we come back, we'll move to Sunday's games. Early games, the Baltimore Ravens looking to respond after blowing it week 1 in Buffalo. They have the largest spread to cover against the Browns. All right, let's hit the 1 p.m. Eastern time games on CBS.
Love it. Love it.
We got the Ravens. Look at that spread, 11.5. Kyle said
this is crazy.
in the commercial break before this segment that he just wishes he didn't have to deal with spreads.
Well, pick them straight up.
It's like blitzes in football. Do we have to legalize this? Is this allowed?
Or kickoffs.
Jags-Bengals, a matchup of 1-0 teams, and Rams-Titans as well. All in the 1 o'clock window on CBS and Paramount+. We'll start with Browns-Ravens. Baltimore just blew that game in Buffalo. They're laying the largest spread of the season so far. First double-digit spread of the season at 11.5.
I love the Ravens in this one. And I love the Ravens because of what I saw from the Ravens this past week. And I know it didn't finish the way that
56 minutes anyway.
I know it didn't finish the way that you wanted to, but you have to really like the way that offense looks. Derrick Henry still got the juice. Lamar Jackson still Lamar Jackson. And at the end of the day, a couple bad breaks there. The ball getting punched out from Derrick Henry, a couple of these bounce passes from Josh Allen into the end zone. Oh, my God, next thing you know, the Bills are back in it. That ain't going to happen this week against the Cleveland Browns. And they just have to go out and play their game. They don't have to do anything special and go win the game by 11.5 points.
The Ravens choked. Let's be real. That's a choke. You'll look back on the season.
This has happened before. Lamar Jackson has blown touchdown leads in the fourth quarter 9 times in his career. For reference, that's more than Allen, Mahomes, Burrow, and Hurts combined.
But it's not just him.
It's not just him. Thank God you said that.
The defense had a lot to do with that as well. But you're up in that situation by 15 points. You got to win that game.
With Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
4-minute mode should be easy mode.
Right. They didn't run him. They didn't run Lamar Jackson.
And it wasn't.
They didn't run him. They needed to run him. The bottom line is that they're going to look back on that loss in the season and go, oh my gosh, how did we blow that game? Because they might be playing in Buffalo in the playoffs because of that game. So, but how do you get over that? You go out and you take it out on the next team, and they're going to take it out on the next team. Cleveland played pretty good defense last week. I mean, there was a sequence of sack of Joe Burrow. And Myles Garrett was involved in all of them. Sack. That doesn't happen in the NFL. But I don't think they're good enough to hang with this team. I think the Ravens take out all their frustrations from a week ago and take it out on the Browns. They blow them out.
You almost feel bad to be in that Cleveland Browns locker room going in to face a team coming off a loss like that might be the most talented team in all of football.
And you're on the road, and they're playing their home opener. That's never a good
and you're bad in divisional games, too. Last 11 divisional road games, the Browns are 1-10 with a -10 turnover differential. Let's go to a matchup between a couple of teams coming off wins. Jacksonville at Cincinnati. They looked a little bit different, but it's been a long time since either one of these teams started 2-0. In fact, it was before Trevor Lawrence in Jacksonville. It was before Joe Burrow in Cincinnati. It's been 7 years since either one of these two teams did it. Somebody likely is going to.
Yeah, and look, this is a tough game for Jacksonville because when you have Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, how do you cover them? What do you do to try and limit what they can do in the big play? I know they're going to play a lot of zone this year. I imagine they're going to do that. But the other side of the ball is what concerns me about the Bengals. And they were better at it last week. But physically, teams have gone there and pushed them around in their recent history. And I think what we saw from Jacksonville, when you rush for 200 yards in a game, that means you're physical up front. And I think that physical style will keep them in the game. They're not going to – I don't think they're going to stop Joe Burrow, but I also don't think that the Bengals are going to stop their run game either. So I do think that they're going to run the ball, hit some shots down the field in the passing game, and keep it close. I'll take the Jaguars.
Jags can run it all they want. If Joe Burrow is out there being Joe Burrow and he's hitting his targets, then they're going to have to throw the football eventually. And then we're going to have to see the genius that is Liam Cohen and Travis Hunter building on his week 1 performance and Trevor Lawrence stringing it together again. But I like the Bengals here. I like the Bengals. Joe Burrow's healthy. I know he took some monster hits this past week, so maybe hold the Joe Burrow's healthy thing. Myles Garrett planted him like a flower in the game. I don't know if you saw that. My neck hurts just watching it. I got the Bengals, though, in this one.
Is that more encouraging, though, the fact that the Bengals, for all the talk about how bad the defense has been, how great the offense has been, that the defense actually won it for them in week 1?
That's not a great offense they played the other day either, though. I mean, let's be real. It's not a dynamic offense in Cleveland. So, but it was a step in the right direction, and I do like what Al Golden's doing with that defense. They're going to play more man-to-man. If they play man-to-man on Brian Thomas this week, that could be a problem. And if Jacksonville plays man-to-man on those two receivers, it could be a major problem. So it'll be interesting to see how they play each other.
This line has moved because of the way these two teams played in week 1. It opened at Bengals -5.5, so now you can get it down to 3.5. And Kyle is doing just that, Pete, on the other side. Let's go to the Bills and the Jets. A couple of teams that scored a lot of points in week 1, gave up a lot of points in week 1. Defenses combined to give up 74 points. The over-under is 45.5 with the Bills a touchdown favorite here.
And if you look at recent history, Josh Allen has had problems when he's gone against the Jets on the road. And so this is going to be a challenge for him. I know the defense didn't play well last week, but I think they're going to respond here. And you come off an emotional high, and you know this, you played in the league. When you're that high after you come back from and rally against the Ravens, and now you got to go out on the road, it's a natural down. It's a division game, but it's a natural down. I think in this scenario, the Jets will hang around in this game. They're not going to win it. I think Buffalo will find a way to win it. But you're going to give me all those points, I'm taking them. I'll take the Jets.
See, I would argue on the other side of the coin. I would argue that when something miraculous like what we saw with 4 minutes remaining for the Buffalo Bills the other night happens, you have nothing but confidence. And you can ride that confidence. You can ride that high into the next week, even if you're beat to hell from putting up 80 points in combination with the Ravens, and we're all up till midnight watching that game. That carries over into the next one. Josh Allen feels really good. And if Josh Allen feels good, I feel really good. Give me the Bills.
See, he's Captain Sunshine. I'm doom and gloom. That's the difference.
Offense.
That's perfect.
That's the MVP, by the way.
Oh, right now he is. Right now he is.
How about Justin Fields, though? A really good Jets debut. Ran for a couple of touchdowns.
Love this.
16 for 22 through the air. The team put up 32 points in his debut.
I'll tell you how I know they like Justin Fields. When he got hit after the play, a number of guys run to his defense to go, jack up anybody in that defense. I thought that he played well. Obviously, they have a blueprint they want to stick to, an identity. They want to pound the rock. Armand Membu looked really great. He had some talk about planting flowers. Our guy TJ Watt, he'll be poking out next spring from the turf. But Justin Fields, tough guy, leadership. A lot of people doubted him. Aaron Glenn believes in him, and it was fun to watch.
And the one bugaboo that the Bills still have on the defensive side of the ball, stopping the run. I mean, Derrick Henry ran wild, and the Jets actually ran the ball pretty well. That could be something to keep an eye on here.
All right, let's move on to the Patriots and the Dolphins, two of the more disappointing teams from week 1, right?
Well, one of them was the most disappointing team.
Dolphins?
The Dolphins were the most
Patriots, they got smoked at home.
I would
by the
argue they
Raiders.
were more disappointing than the Dolphins because we didn't expect it. Mm-hmm. And that's why I am going to be picking the Patriots because, look, that wasn't the team that I expected to see. They get beat at home by an organization that, quite frankly, has been dysfunctional. At the very least, the Las Vegas or the New England Patriots know what functioning buildings look like, especially Mike Vrabel. It didn't look like they had the version that we were expecting this past week. I expect that to get fixed this week in practice.
They're going to show up in South Florida. It's going to be 100 degrees or 95 degrees. The humidity is going to be just so thick, and that's going to have an impact on them. And playing this early down here is tough on those teams that come from the north. But I also think that Miami being back home will kind of figure things out a little bit. I think Tua will play better. I'll take the Miami Dolphins.
We don't know if Tua's okay. He got hit from his blind side. It wasn't the hit that hurt him. It was the earth that he collided with.
If he plays, I think he plays well.
I mean, he's dominated the Patriots.
Something to
7-0
keep
in
an
his
eye
career
on.
against New England.
Yeah, and I just think being at home in this environment, in this heat, that's going to be
I can attest to that. There's nothing worse than playing at Miami ever.
Dolphins, the
Ever.
first team in the Super Bowl era to allow a score on every defensive possession. We were worried about that secondary, and Daniel Jones picked them apart in that first game. All right, final game in the early window on CBS. Rams -5.5 at the Titans. It's Cam Ward's first home game there in Nashville.
And Cam Ward did some good things last week, but he did a lot of bad things as well. And that's to be expected. You're starting on the road in the NFL against one of the better defenses in the NFL. You're going to have your problems. And he did. What I saw from the Titans last week that I really liked was the defense. You know, they forced the ball out of Bo Nix's hands. He turned it over, 4 times in that game. That's a good sign going forward. And when you look at the Rams last week, they struggled offensively to move on a good Texans defense. I think going out on the road now.
A great Texans defense.
A great Texans defense. When you go out on the road now and you're playing in Nashville, they're playing their home opener, I think the Titans will hang around in this game because of the defense. Not because Cam Ward will be making all these plays, but because their defense will keep them in it. Lower scoring game, I'll take the Titans and the points.
Matt Stafford had as impressive an unimpressive game as you'll ever see from him because he earned every bit of yardage that he got in week 1. And you said good, I said great about the Texans defense. This ain't the Texans they're playing this week. And you know what? Our guy Puka Nacua lined up in the slot, a record high for him, 44% of their snaps, doing so much with Puka Nacua. Keep your eye on it. Matt Stafford's healthy. He could turn the volume really high in terms of passing yards this week.
The thing that concerns me most about the Rams, they're not fast. And, Tutu Atwell can fly, and they don't use him much. But the rest of that team, as good a receiver as
they're all
Puka
tough
Nacua
guys,
is,
dude.
But they don't scare you down the field. You can play them in a phone booth. And that's always concerning. They need to get Tutu Atwell involved so he can stretch the field a little bit.
But they don't lose games like this. They've won 11 straight as a favorite of 3 points or more.
Great coach.
For Sean McVay.
Great coach.
Titans hope to be coached better this week. They had just as many penalty yards as total yards in that first game.
Got to work on the rules, too.
Yeah, they didn't know a knee. Elbow.
Oh, boy.
His dad's an O-line coach.
Okay, so let's take a look at the slate on CBS. This is 1 o'clock Eastern time. If you don't get those early games that we just picked, you'll get one of the late games. And Broncos-Colts is an interesting one. Bo Nix turned it over 3 times against the Titans. They still won. And Daniel Jones was just about perfect in his Colts debut. That one at 4:05. CBS and Paramount Plus. All right, Lions looking to bounce back after getting smothered in Green Bay, and they face their former OC, Ben Johnson, and the Chicago Bears. All right, looking at some 1 p.m. games and spreads, all 5.5 and under here. Lions favored at home against the Bears. Cowboys, a divisional matchup at home against the Giants. 49ers, that number has come down. It's 4.5 against the Saints because they have major injury concerns. And the Steelers, that's Aaron Rodgers' home debut in Pittsburgh against the Seahawks. Let's go to the Bears and Lions to start things off. That one didn't hit for you?
No, it didn't hit.
Well, it's not on CBS.
There you go. That works.
Here's some matchups between former number 1 overall picks. You got Trevor Lawrence against Joe Burrow, Caleb Williams against Jared Goff, Matthew Stafford against Cam Ward. Those guys, look at those guys, 16 years apart. Stafford back in 2009, Ward this season, and Bryce Young against Kyler Murray, 2 of the shorter quarterbacks that have been taken number 1 going head-to-head at 4:05 Eastern. But let's zero in on Caleb Williams against Jared Goff, and both of these teams licking their wounds after week 1. It's Ben Johnson facing his former team.
Look, in my opinion, after watching the Lions and the Packers, the exodus of Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn was less important than the reshuffling of their offensive line. So much of the Detroit Lions is based on attitude, point of attack, starting with the center and the guards, setting up the run to get to the play-action pass. If you can't run the football at will, then you can't win and have the same type of identity and cheat code that you saw from Dan Campbell and Ben Johnson's offense last year. Frank Ragnow's absence is massive. I do think that for the Chicago Bears, there is a lot that remains to be seen, whether or not their quarterback can get accurate. Which version of Caleb Williams are we going to see in week 2? Ben Johnson will have a better understanding of that as the week goes on in practice. I am going to take the Bears. I think that it's not a gimme. These are not last year's Lions, and it's not last year's Bears. So I don't want to hear same old Bears, and I don't want to hear same old Lions. If you're giving me 5.5, I'll take Chicago.
It's interesting you pointed out that offensive line because you got 2 new guards starting. You got a new center. Graham Glasgow went over to take Ragnow's spot, and he went very good the other day. The 2 tackles weren't great either. And so the strength of your team is now a weakness. And we know that offense is predicated on running the football. But so is Chicago's. And they didn't run the ball very well. I mean, Ben Johnson, we know he wants to run the ball. His offensive line, he went out and he spent a boatload of money for a center who was terrible the other night, Drew Dahlman. He spent a boatload of money on the right guard, who's not very good. Joe Tooney is good. They spent money on him. It's worth it. The tackles aren't great. So their offensive line, for Ben Johnson, the whole focus of his offense is to run the ball. They weren't great running the ball either. So one of these teams has to come out of this game getting back to their identity, which is running the football. For everything Jared Goff has done, it's all based on running the football. So whichever team does that is going to be the team.
Well, the health of the running back room in Chicago will dictate if it's going to be DeAndre Swift the entirety of the game, or we're going to get to see some Roshan Johnson, which is that downhill David Montgomery style that we saw with Detroit. So
they could have had Gale Sayers in his prime with that line blocking the way they did.
Oh, Gale Sayers would have gone off.
I don't know.
What did we think of Caleb Williams in his first game, up and down with
You
Ben
go
Johnson?
first.
Well, kind of like, you could always go like the way he's in the pocket, where he pushes up and pushes back and then pushes up and pushes back. So it's up and down, up and down. And there were some good things.
And around.
And leaving clean pockets and not focusing at times and missing throws.
Are you saying he needs to stand tall in the pocket and not move around as much?
Well, go through your progressions, and then when the pressure gets there, get out. I think he got out a little early a couple times. And he's an amazing athlete. Don't get me wrong. He can do a lot of things when he gets outside the pocket.
He was rolling last night.
He scares the daylights out of teams. But the game has to be easier from there, right there. 1, 2, 3, check it down. 1, 2, 3, get out. 1, 2, and get out if there's pressure in your face. Not 1, maybe stay there and then get out. I think he held the ball too long, and I think there's problems there. So there was some encouraging signs, and I think if you're a Bears fan, you should be encouraged a little bit, but there were also some signs where you go, whoa, what is going on? And I think during the game, they even, he checked it down, which is okay to check it down, but he had the guy clear it in the second window. That you got to hit that second window throw if you're going to be a big-time NFL quarterback.
It's like the first time you ever dropped into a half-pipe pass.
I've never done that.
Some of your buddies did, I'm sure. So you stand up at the top of this thing, and you tell your friends all day, we're going to the skate park, and I'm going to drop in. Mm-hmm. And then you get up there, and you look at it, and you don't go. Right now, I feel like that's Caleb looking down the football field. He doesn't quite have the confidence to just strap that helmet on and drop it down the ramp. Right now, he's doing a great job getting through his progressions, getting to the check down. But when you start taking that check down away, it leaves some openings down the field. I don't know if he's ready yet to be able to hit those shots more often than not. Last night, we didn't see it.
Why didn't you ask me the skateboard question? You don't think I'm a hey dude on the skateboard?
I thought you were more a rollerblade guy.
Rollerblade. Neither, by the way.
Miami Beach?
For every Bears loss to start the season, he's going to unbutton one more button on his shirt.
Hey!
So look out next week.
Week 1, forget about it.
The giant collar will cover up everything.
Big collar boys over here. All right, let's go to the Cowboys. Taking on the Giants. Cowboys -5.5, and Russell Wilson is going to get this start despite that abysmal debut for the Giants last week.
I wonder if Andrew Thomas was completely healthy, if they might go to the kid there and maybe go to Jackson Dart. But there's no reason to be playing Russell Wilson. None. Zero. Unless, and here's what I say about that when it comes to the head coach. He can save his job by playing the rookie. If you put the rookie in and he plays the entire season, and he's getting a grasp of your offense, and he understands it, and he feels comfortable with it, they're really more apt to keep you around rather than make that rookie learn a whole new system the next year. So if I'm Brian Daboll, and he's a smart guy, I think Brian Daboll's a good coach, and I think he's a good offensive mind. If I'm Brian Daboll, I'm putting him in there and getting him in there as quickly as I can to maybe save my own butt. Because if he doesn't get him in there and they don't win and Russell Wilson plays the majority of the season, he's not saving himself. So that should be in the back of his head, A. B, Russell Wilson isn't very good. I said it earlier on the show. He looks at the rush. His eyes come down all the time, and he starts bailing out of there. And yes, he doesn't have a great offensive line, but you can't play quarterback that way in this league. So I think they need to go to Jackson Dart. They're not going to. He's going to play in this game. Dallas is rested. They're at home, making their home opener. Giants are playing back-to-back roadies, right? We know how that goes.
Look out!
And so I'm going to take the Cowboys in this one.
I'm going to be taking the Cowboys as well, unless I will retroactively change my pick if I do find out that Jackson Dart is going to be the starting quarterback for the New York Giants. Look, There's
no asterisk in this game.
There is a clear floor to what your offense can look like with Russell Wilson, but there is also a definitive ceiling right now at this point in his career. And with the playmakers that they have in New York, the young talent, I almost feel like it would be so on brand for them to put Jackson Dart in there and give them what the people want, because they want to see fireworks. They've got receivers down the football field, and they're just not going to be able to get that type of explosion from Russell Wilson. Give me the Cowboys, though, because I think it will be Russell again this week.
I don't think they want to put him out there on the road. You know, I think it would be a tough decision to throw him out there in his first game on the road.
J.J. McCarthy did all right.
Well, not for 3 quarters he didn't.
Just go look at the fourth, bud.
But it took him 3 quarters to get going. I think they're kind of protecting him a little bit. That's all.
Cowboys have completely owned the Giants. Dak Prescott's won 13 straight starts against.
I like what I saw
division
from Dak
rivals.
Prescott in the opener.
He is a warrior out there.
I really did.
Taking shots, making the throws.
Hitting guys in the hands and having C.D. Lamb drop them all over the place. Kudos to C.D. Lamb, because after the game he came out and he said, that's on me. And he admitted it, and he worked on the jugs machine all week.
I don't like the jugs machine. Go run some routes and catch the ball, because you're not standing in place catching balls from a jugs machine. I'm an O-lineman. What do I know?
This line has moved, by the way. It was 3.5 when it opened, now up to 5.5.
Am I going to practice blocking a guy that runs right into me? Oh, good. Hey, good rush, good rush, good rush.
Hit the sled?
No, I hit people.
Did you ever hit the sled?
Pete's obsessed with that.
And they made me.
They made you.
Pete has a sled in his high-rise in Fort Lauderdale, and
I
he
love
hits
the
it every
sled.
night.
I love the sled.
Let's go to the 49ers and the Saints, also 1 Eastern. And this line has moved as well, because even in the last 24 hours from Monday to Tuesday, because of the injuries that the Niners have, George Kittle to injured reserve, so he's going to miss at least 4 games. And Brock Purdy's status is very much up in the air for this one as we tape this on Tuesday as well.
When we were hearing about Mac Jones to San Francisco this offseason, Mike Renner reminded me that it might have been smoke and mirrors, or it might have been real. Kyle Shanahan really liked Mac Jones coming out of college. And ended up going with Trey Lance.
Boy, they could have traded all those picks for Mac Jones. That would have worked out well.
So now we're going to get to see. There's 2 things we're going to get to see. Is it going to be Mac Jones? Did Kyle Shanahan really love him coming out? And how much of a genius is Kyle Shanahan? Because he's still got Christian McCaffrey. They're going to be without George Kittle and Jawan Jennings, which hurts.
And Jake Moody, who they waived.
Big time hurts. We'll just go for 2.
We fired him Saturday night.
We'll just go for 2. So we're going to find out a lot about this Niners team. I've got the Saints in this game, though. I got the Saints because Rattler went toe-to-toe with a good football team last week, albeit it wasn't perfect. He made some really good throws. Second year, that's when the big leap happens. Could have one of these big wins against the Niners.
Look, I don't think Mac Jones is very good. And look, Kyle Shanahan, they always say no matter who goes and plays quarterback, he's going to throw the football around and have success. I don't see it with Mac Jones. I think that's a problem. Not having Kittle is a major problem, because he's not only one of the best pass-catching tight ends in the league, but he's one of, if not the best blocking tight end in the league. So you take him out of the equation, it hurts your run game. I think it's a problem for them. You're right. The Saints played feisty football last week. They showed up on the defensive line. They did some good things up front. Their offensive line is better, and Rattler made some good plays.
They need to run the ball more.
Yeah.
They're built to run it.
I know. They got big physical line. They will run it probably on this game. And so I do think that I don't know if they'll win the game, but they're going to hang around. Even if Brock Purdy plays, I think the Saints hang around in this game. I'll take
Rattler still hasn't won a game. If he falls to 0-8, that would be the worst start since Deshaun Kaiser of the Browns. But with the 49ers.
That's never a sentence you want to
That's a Notre Dame guy, right?
Yeah.
Can you believe we're already here talking about all these injuries again with San Francisco?
And again, when you're a star-laden team and you put a lot of money into your stars, when they start going down, that's a major problem. You talk about the stars on this team. Purdy counts. McCaffrey counts. Trent Williams also got hurt and dinged up in that game and went out for a couple plays. Kittle, Bosa, and Warner. Those are your stars. If you lose 1 or 2 of those guys for any extended period of time,
drastically different.
Because your depth is hurt because you don't have a lot of the cash to be able to pay the veterans to come in. So it's a challenge when you lose a guy like George Kittle. It's a challenge when you lose a guy like they did last year with McCaffrey and Williams. And that's ultimately what did them in last year. If they keep having these kind of injury problems, they're going to not be a good football team this year.
Jawan Jennings hurt his shoulder as well, but the report earlier in the week is that it's not that serious. One more game in the 1 o'clock window, and it's Aaron Rodgers making his Pittsburgh debut after throwing 4 touchdown passes on the road in Week 1, taking on Seattle.
Well, I personally didn't think he played poorly at the end of the season before when he was with the Jets. He did some good things. He threw as many touchdown passes as Josh Allen last year. He threw more than Patrick Mahomes and Justin Herbert. He was not awful at the end of last season. I think it just took him a while to get back to moving around, which is such a big part of what he does, escaping pressure, making throws on the move. I think he does one of those things where if he can't move, it's a problem. So he's back healthy again. He started moving around. He made some throws. There weren't a lot of deep throws down the field. It was a lot of guys wide open where he came off play action and hit them. But again, the arm looks just as strong. I mean, for a guy that's his age, he can still rip it. And I think he can play well. There are concerns with the Steelers. The run game isn't what it usually is when you talk about Pittsburgh. You want to run it. You want to knock people off the ball. They didn't do that. And then defensively, there's some age starting to creep in over there. And are they, can they get it going on the defensive side of the ball? So I think that's a challenge for the Steelers. The Seahawks defensively did some really good things last week, and they should be encouraged by that. But Sam Darnold threw for 150 yards, 150. You got to be better than that. You got to get that over at least into 250s if you're going to try and win this game. And I think that's going to be a problem against the Steelers.
That Seahawks front is going to get tested big time. And I know that the Steelers were embarrassed at some points in that game physically by that Jets front who was drafted to just play bully ball. Look, you're going to have to make this team one-dimensional. I'm talking about the Steelers making the Seahawks one-dimensional. They want to see Sam Darnold drop back and throw. Also important to point out, Steelers have the most expensive defense in the National Football League by, I think, like $18 million. You're going to need those guys to be elite and show up every week. I like the way that defense responded at the end of this game, and I think it carries over. Give me the Seahawks.
By the way,
the Steelers, minus 2.5.
You know what we haven't done? I got the Steelers as well. You know what we haven't done in a while? We haven't brought the quarterback scales out.
Oh, yeah, Sam Darnold, Aaron Rodgers.
Okay.
That's big. Who's
Aaron
got the
Rodgers.
edge? Who's got the edge?
Are you kidding me?
Aaron Rodgers. Let's just, for Steelers fan, let's hope that somebody from the Seahawks organization has said something mean to Aaron Rodgers ever.
Yeah.
I love the way he takes his shots. He takes his shots back right away.
He said anybody associated with the New York Jets.
It's funny,
That means Ligier, too.
Oh, yeah. But isn't it funny, though, if we would have asked that same question to the quarterback scales at week 13 last year, you would have said Sam Darnold over and over again.
You would have said, I'm starting to smell pumpkin.
Well, what would you have said? You would have said Sam Darnold
Probably, but the pumpkin's coming.
Yeah, you are what you are.
Turn into a pumpkin at midnight. Interested by that total of 39.5, just considering the Steelers and Jets combined for 66
Yeah, well,
points
last week that total was like way down there too, wasn't it? And, and they went soaring over.
That's the lowest total of the week. Recapping the picks for the 1 o'clock Eastern time kicks, both on the Ravens, trying to cover the only double-digit spread of the year so far, minus 11.5 against the Browns. Disagree on everything else. Nobody is on a total yet. In the other 1 p.m. Eastern time games, there are some more agreements here. Cowboys minus 5.5 against the Giants. Saints plus 4.5 at home against the banged-up Niners. And those Steelers minus 2.5 against Seattle.
They brought the smiling picture out after I went 11-5 last week. Normally that's a scowl. Look at you. You look like you're ready to like.
I look like I'm having a bowel movement.
Or you're ready to give somebody a beating.
Like Arch Manning trying to throw a football down the field.
That's the look Jalen Carter gave Dak Prescott right before he spit in his face.
So the bowel movement and beating somebody's butt are the same look for you. Okay.
Yep.
I like it. Okay. Good to know.
Hey, we've got a big late slate as well, including the Super Bowl rematch. Eagles, Chiefs. Kansas City can't fall to 0-2, right? Kind of a slight slate in the late afternoon. Only 3 games, 2 of them on CBS.
There you go.
Broncos minus 2.5 at the Colts. Cardinals at home as nearly touchdown favorites against the Panthers. And that Super Bowl rematch, Chiefs minus 1.5 against the Eagles. We'll start with that Broncos-Colts game. Chris Hassel, Kyle Long, Pete Prisco making picks here. And a real test for Daniel Jones. He looked really good against the Dolphins. What's he going to look like against one of the best defenses, if not the best in football?
It was nice to see Daniel. It's believable that Daniel Jones would go out there and look pretty good. It was unbelievable to see how great he did. A record performance, scoring every single time they had the football. What will be even more unbelievable is he can string it together 2 weeks in a row, going from the Dolphins to the Broncos. That being said, I've got the Denver Broncos. They're pissed at themselves in meetings. There was a lot of stuff that wasn't very clean in their operation. They got to get it cleaned up. But defense travels. You can win like that.
Should we talk about a sophomore slump? Or is it way too soon for that?
Turnovers for Bo Nix.
It's way too soon for that.
Too soon.
He did not play well. last week. It was not a good look for Bo Nix. And everybody just assumed, and I was one of them, that he would take Sean Payton's offense and even do more with it. And it didn't happen. He just looked disjointed for much of the game. He didn't look very sure of himself. He turned the ball over. And that was concerning to me. Now you go out on the road after playing like that, that's a challenge. And the Indy defense, Lou Anarumo took over that defense, and they did a really nice job last week. Now, a lot of that was self-inflicted by Miami, but they did some really good things. And you know one thing they can do is push the pocket in the middle. Buckner and Grover Stewart can get after the quarterback from the middle, and that's a problem. And so I think the Colts defensively surprised a lot of people last week. And Xavier Howard played a lot of snaps at corner. I think this is a team to keep an eye on the defensive side of the ball particularly. We don't know if Daniel Jones can continue to do what he did, but I like their defense, and I think they're going to keep him in the game. If Bo Nix plays like he did last week, then all of a sudden you're going to sit here and start saying, is this a sophomore slump? Because he was not very good last week.
Tyler Warren balled out for the Colts, too.
He did a lot of good things. I mean, they got weapons on offense. Yep. They got
Alec Pierce.
Their offensive line, they had some changes there, but Bortolini at center was really good last week. It's a good group, and if Daniel Jones can play half as good as he did last week, they're going to be competitive in games. It might be better than we all thought they were going to be, and I think they hang around in this game, so I'll take the Colts.
Maybe he can do something like Sam Darnold did with the Minnesota Vikings last year and lead this team
Aberration
and earn
season?
Another contract.
Aberration season?
That Colts.
Who would you rather have right now, Sam Darnold or Daniel Jones?
They're all the same guy.
Do we have to? Yeah.
They're all the same.
We have to pick one.
Yeah, they're all the same guy.
I'm hearing from our producer Jack both over Caleb, but now I might have to take a quick break.
Yeah,
oh wow, you're gonna go get him?
There and lay the law down. All right, let's go to the other CBS game at 4:05 Eastern. Panthers and Cards. I know which quarterback you'd rather have in this game, and it's the quarterback not named Bryce Young. Kyler Murray and the Cardinals are 1-0. They're 6.5-point favorites in this game.
And the Cardinals did some good things, but they kept the Saints in the game last week. It was weird. They seemed to be dominating that game, and next thing you know, the Saints are taking shots into the end zone to tie the game up late. They got to put teams away, but that's what happens when you have a young team, and there's a lot of young players on that team. This is going to be a challenge for Carolina. You go out on the road, lose, go back out. Now you're out on the road again. Back-to-back roadies, always tough to handle, and they did not play well. I did not like what I saw from the Carolina Panthers. Bryce Young was not good.
Leger said it was just the rain delay.
That's what he did say, yeah, the rain delay.
Unbelievable
After that, they slowed down.
Well, you know why Leger said that?
Why?
Because he thought they'd be good this year, and he doesn't want to admit he might have made a mistake. They're not very good. They have problems in a lot of spots, and they got pushed around in the run game. I think Arizona's going to run the ball and run the ball and run the ball, and then hit some shots off of that. I don't think Bryce Young played very well. I don't think he's going to play very well here. So I'll take Arizona in this one.
Yeah, I got Arizona as well. They got the running game. They can throw the football. They play good defense. They've got a guy who can frustrate that young quarterback in Bryce Young as their defensive, play caller, signal caller. I do like the Cardinals. The only question I have about them is what is their consistency going to look like? And week one was a microcosm of what I'm talking about. You just said it. They should have just ran out of the stadium with a win, but they kept the Saints in the ball game. That should not be the MO for the Cardinals.
This is a big year for Kyler Murray. And was okay last week, did some good things, but he's got to be good this year because he's got to prove to people he's their long-term answer at quarterback. And it started last week, but he's got to play well against this defense, which last week got pushed around a little bit.
This has seen some line movement as well. 2 points in the direction of the Cardinals. It opened 4.5. Up to 6.5 now, and fellas are both on the Arizona Cardinals.
They must have watched the Carolina-Jacksonville tape, and then they moved the line.
He said that Bryce Young had to go on his tiptoes and sometimes jump to see over the line.
There was a couple plays where he actually had to do that.
They had to bring a little pantry ladder out,
Isn't he taller than Kyler Murray, though?
It's like me reaching up to get something out of the top cabinet. I can't do it.
You just got to go,
That's
Kyle.
That's when your wife puts everything.
I can't do it.
All right, here we go. 4:25 Eastern, the Super Bowl rematch. And the Chiefs, they lost to the Chargers. Yeah, they're at home. They're a 1.5-point favorite. But the last time we saw these two teams on the same field, the Eagles jumped out to a 34-0 lead.
Well, he's on the champs. He's staying with the champs, I see.
What do you mean? You're making my pick for me now?
No, I see it right here on the paper.
I am with the champs for this one. Hey, look, a lot of question marks about the Chiefs right now with Xavier Worthy going down. Some of the infighting I saw on the defensive side of the ball. Saw the right tackle getting into it with the tight end. Everybody knows their names. There's a lot to keep our eyes on with this team. on both sides of the field. Jalen Carter, is he going to be back in this game? What is this, what is the game plan going against that group? If I'm the Philadelphia Eagles, I want to pound the rock. I want to see if they can defend the run. I'm going to do it for 4 quarters. And if you allocate your resources there, I'm going to throw it to one of my guys on the outside. In my opinion, the game stacks up in favor of the Philadelphia Eagles. I love the Kansas City Chiefs. I love Patrick Mahomes, but this week I'm going with the Eagles.
If I was making your pick for you, I'd be picking the Chiefs because that's who I'm picking. So I'm not making your pick for you. You're going against your former team. I love it. This is great. You picked the Bears, though, but so, you got 1 for 2.
Right, so Pete, are you picking the Chiefs?
Yes, I'm picking the Chiefs.
Yeah. Now, you said that the Chiefs would be better this year than last year.
I didn't like what I saw from their defense last week. I thought there were a lot of busted coverages and a lot of problems on the defensive side of the ball. Where were, Chris Jones, Karlaftis? I mean, those guys got to be putting guys on the ground, and they didn't do it. Herbert did whatever he wanted to. But the Eagles, look, the Eagles, if they have Jalen Carter, it's a different defense. We know that. If he's in the lineup and he's going to play, then it's a different defense. They're much better. I just think the Chiefs at home, and that's, this, it's a brutal place to play. And I don't think they're going to physically get beat up like they did in the Super Bowl. They're just not going to. And Mahomes is going to be able to make plays. I wish Worthy was on the field because he's kind of the speed guy. But Kelsey needs to step up. Hollywood Brown needs to step up. They also need to run the ball better. If you're going to take on the Eagles, you have to be able to run the ball, and that's a concern. There was not a lot to like other than a few plays by Patrick Mahomes last week about that Chiefs loss to the Chargers, but I think there's such a veteran group that they're going to regroup at home and find a way to win this game.
How concerning would an 0-2 start be?
Very concerning, particularly in a division with good football teams.
Yeah, everybody else is 1-0.
Concerning, not very concerning, because the cavalry will arrive for the Kansas City Chiefs.
Where's the cavalry?
In the form of some receivers, in the form of some health, in the form of some chemistry on defense, because what you lack in terms of having dudes up there on the front 7, like we've seen historically, you can get that through chemistry. And like you said, this is a team that has been to the top of the mountain, and they've won it defensively and offensively. They got to figure out how to play together.
I worry what happened on the back end more than anything because there was a lot of bust back there. They don't have Justin Reed.
Tell that to the 6'4", 240 running back running down the sideline, sliding for 10 yards, putting them to triple zeros. Yeah. That's a
Justin
contain
Herbert.
issue, bud.
Yeah. Well, that was Chris Jones who got caught inside and tried to go make a play, and then he got into it with Drew Tranquill.
And Drew Tranquill's telling Chris Jones, you got to go here. And if I'm Chris Jones, I'm saying they'd pay me $120 million, big fella. I'm going to go where I go, and you make yourself right off me.
But the other part of that is that, Justin Reed's not there anymore in the back end. Justin Reed was a good football player, a big part of what they do.
So smart.
And they don't have him. So I think all the stuff happening back there, Jaden Hicks, second-year player, but they got to kind of figure that out.
All right, I like it. A disagreement between the guys on the biggest
He's going against
game
his former
of the
team.
week.
Going against his former team.
Against the Chiefs.
I got a job to do.
Against Patrick Mahomes. Kyle has him starting 0-2 this season. I believe so anyway. I guess you could win the bet and still lose the game. It's -1.5.
If you got a problem with it, you can see me on NFL Today Plus when we go Kansas City Buffalo in a couple weeks.
All right, there you go. You agree on the Cardinals -6.5 against the Panthers, but disagree on the Colts and Broncos. Up next, we've got a lot of former #1 overall picks going head-to-head at quarterback. How about a rematch of the College Football National Championship game from the 2023 season? Michael Penix against J.J. McCarthy. Sunday Night Football, Falcons, Vikings, and it is a rematch of the 2023 College Football National Championship game. The two quarterbacks, anyway. Michael Penix, who then played for Washington. J.J. McCarthy for Michigan. Wolverines, of course, winning the game. Penix put up bigger numbers in that game. Michigan more of a running team.
It was a blowout.
It was. It was not. It was not an even matchup, but this one looks like it could be. Vikings -4.5 at home after J.J. McCarthy's first game, and what a capper he put on that. He changed the narrative around him and this team completely. The way he came back against the Bears.
It was amazing. Like if you watch the game and you're on Twitter at the same time, people were saying he's done, he stinks, he's over. Why they draft this kid? And then it changed like that with a great fourth quarter.
Now it appears like he has it like the it factor, the guys that can come back and win games.
And I would have said this if he hadn't turned it around in the fourth quarter. It's one game. He's starting on the road in the NFL. It's hard to do. But he did turn it around, and kudos to him for doing that. That was the one thing that I wondered if he could do. When it was bad, could he come out from underneath it? Because let's be real. You look at his career. In high school, I think that school he went to early in his career is a big prep school where they recruit everybody and you win. Then he went to IMG Academy.
And that's just Florida, a better version of what he was at.
Where you recruit everybody and you win.
And then he had Connor Stallions.
Then he went to Connor Stallions at Michigan. They paid everybody. He went to Michigan. He had Jim Harbaugh, and he won. And so everybody always throws up his record as a winner. Look,
he's a winner. We saw last night.
What he did in the fourth quarter starts to make you think that, yes, he can be that guy. Because that was a really good way to come out from underneath a really bad three quarters. And I'm not talking about just incomplete passes. He threw a pick six late across the field that could have demoralized most guys, and it didn't for him. So I give him props. I still don't think it was the game that everybody else thought it was, because he hit the one. I give him credit for the one shot in the middle of the field to Jefferson, great throw. The wheel route to Aaron Jones, he threw behind him. He had to kind of spin around and make the catch. And his run, look, that was a great call by Kevin O'Connell. Give him credit for doing it. I will. But again, the game itself as a whole wasn't probably as good as most people are making it out to be.
Here's who I'm going to give credit to. The offensive line. Mason carrying the football. O'Connell's willingness to lean on the run game and say, okay, we don't have to just be a sexy scheme, throw it out on the No, we're going to run the football. Everybody in the stadium at Soldier knew that it was coming. They could not stop it. And yes, I give credit to J.J. McCarthy. He did a great job. He got the win on the road, behind enemy lines, yada, yada, yada. Great job, dude. But the Minnesota Vikings have a good football team. They won 14 games last year. The roster looks about the same. The only question mark we had was what?
Him.
This guy right here. And he got a win in prime time. It was impressive. That's why I'm going to be picking the Vikings in this game.
You're picking the Vikings.
Well, we've seen Michael Penix in a few situations like that where he's had a chance to win a game late for the Falcons, a couple overtime losses last year, and then week one, the comeback just falls short against the Buccaneers. What do you think of his play so far?
I think he was good the other day, really good. He did a lot of things throwing the football, but he also ran. He used his legs, and that's not his strong suit, is using his legs. There was a play late in the game, I don't know if you guys remember it, when he scrambled on the sideline, and he dove for the end zone and fumbled the ball, and they said he picked up the first down and it wasn't a fumble because he gave himself up. I think the NFL needs to take a look at that rule. When a guy's diving for a pylon,
that's called the extra effort.
That's giving yourself up. There's a way you give yourself up. Like a receiver catches the ball, he goes down, he gives himself up. A quarterback can give himself up. He wasn't giving himself up. They ruled he gave himself up. He comes back, he runs it in for a touchdown. Then Tampa Bay, to take the lead, Tampa Bay goes down and scores. And then he put his team in position to go tie the game. And of course, the damn kicker didn't make his kick. If he makes the kick, you go to overtime. And so I thought he did some really good things. I think he's one of those guys that's going to get better and better each and every game the way he throws the football.
Yeah, he's a sponge. You can just tell that all the experience he's accrued over the course of his very long college football career has paid off. You saw it early last year in primetime against Jaden Daniels in the nation's capital, where he did not blink against the Washington Commanders. And you're going to see it time and time again from this offense. It's all going to happen because he sees the field well. He can layer the football. You heard Troy talking last night on Monday Night Football. A lot of the issues with Caleb Williams, he's throwing it 100 miles an hour every single time. Sometimes you have to have touch. You got to understand why. I think Michael Penix understands why, and the Falcons have the right players at the right spots.
But he's going to go against a defense in Brian Flores that throws so many different looks at you. And for a guy that doesn't have a lot of starts on his resume, that can be a challenge. And we saw that with Caleb Williams in the second half and with the offensive line. The looks up front and the way they attacked him, that can be a major problem for a young quarterback. So it'll be interesting to see how the Falcons kind of offset that. By the way, their right tackle, McGarry's out, and that's a big part of what they do. And Elijah Wilkinson played last week, was okay, but you got to be able to hold up on that offensive line against all those looks that Brian Flores will throw at you.
30 pressures in week one for Brian Flores, and Drake London is banged up. Drake London was targeted 15 times in that game, caught 8 balls for 55 yards. Now, it sounds like he's day-to-day. At least that's the report coming out of Falcons right now with a shoulder injury, an AC joint.
Yeah, he got hurt diving in the end zone on what looked like a touchdown, and they ruled that he didn't catch it late in the game. So they need him in the lineup. He's one of the big weapons that they have. Bijan Robinson's such a great player in the passing game, and they use him a lot. You got him in space last week. I think they'll try and take advantage of that against. If the Vikings get really aggressive, you can always throw it to screen pass to Robinson, get him out in the perimeter, and let him do some damage.
The sidewalk is what we call it.
Yeah.
The sidewalk.
Get him on the sidewalk.
You can always tell a stupid running back because he runs right by the sidewalk. He goes to the sideline. I'm like, that's not where your friends are, buddy. Stay with your friends.
Yeah, always with your right up the lane.
All right, let's get your picks. The Vikings are 4.5-point favorites at home, Pete.
The Vikings are here!
He's totally off the Bears bandwagon.
Oh my God.
He likes the Packers and the Vikings.
Every team in the NFC North. Everyone.
We're gonna
You went
find
to
out.
Green Bay, you became a Packer, you bought apparel. You went to you got yourself some Packers sweatshirts.
I was going to do like that guy from the SEC. I was like, are there any trees I can poison at Lambeau? You know, what was the guy's name who called in?
Yeah, he went to prison and then he died.
I did not poison any trees. I did a Lambeau leap. I might have broke the wall, though. Check in
okay,
on
so
it.
now you're doing the horn and everything?
I've always liked the Galler horn.
Skull?
Even when I was on the Bears, I was like, play the horn.
Okay, can we get you to do skull?
Where they go, skull,
Skull.
Kyle could be the new Vikings motorcycle guy that
There
I
you
think
go.
they got rid of a few years back.
I got to ask my
Grow
mom
the
if I'm
beard
allowed
out
to
a
ride a
little bit.
motorcycle.
Put the horns
What's
on.
the next thing you got to do? You got to do something for Detroit when it coming up too. You've done a lot.
No, we'll come up with it.
Okay, here we go. I'm taking the Falcons in the points. I think they hang around in this game. I think all the hubbub about J.J. McCarthy is a little too fast for me, and I got to see it again. So I'm going to take the points.
I think he's already been anointed there. But look at the Falcons' last 5 games as underdogs. Not only have they not won, they haven't covered. Plus, the Vikings are 10-1 in one-score games over the last 2 seasons.
But you know what I like to do? I like to buck trends.
Hey, it worked in week 1. NFL Today Plus.
Yeah.
You were at Green Bay. That's where you bought stock in Spotted Cow and all the Packers apparel.
Dude, send me Spotted Cow.
This week, you're in studio for the first time this season.
Yep.
NFL Today Plus streaming every Sunday beginning at 10 a.m.
10
Eastern
a.m.
Time with Kyle Long.
Get crazy.
And
I
crew.
want you to be crazy every Sunday.
All right, when we come back, we'll go to the Monday night doubleheader. The Bucs at the Texans. Also have the Chargers and Raiders in a matchup of 1-0 AFC West teams. We'll pick those games on the other side. Okay, we're going to wrap things up on Monday with a doubleheader. It is a true doubleheader. Sometimes they only space them out by an hour. These 2 games spaced out by 3 hours. Bucs Texans, 7 Eastern Time. Baker Mayfield against C.J. Stroud. And then the nightcap out west. A couple 1-0 teams in the AFC West. Chargers, Raiders in Vegas. All right, let's pick them. Chris Hassel, Kyle Long, Pete Prisco. Bucs, Texans. Pete, I know you're really high on the Bucs. I know you love Baker Mayfield, but he's lost 7 straight Monday Night Football starts.
And this is a bad spot for the Bucs. You go on the road and play a division game that basically comes down to the last kick, and now you got to go play a team that's playing its home opener after they lost on the road. That's a bad combination. So I think from that standpoint, it gives the Texans a big edge. I love what I saw from the Texans defense last week. They are going to be a dominant unit. They can rush the passer. They can cover on the back end. It's going to be a problem for Baker Mayfield. And look, he's got some good weapons. Ibuka was outstanding last week. Mike Evans, once they get everybody back, they're really going to be good. Not having Wirfs is a major problem for him. And we don't know, I don't think he's going to be able to go this week. And if he can't go, they moved Graham Barton out to left tackle, which weakened them at center. And so I think it's a problem for him when you face that.
Kudos to Graham Barton.
He did a nice job.
By the way, when's the last time you heard a center kick out?
Yeah, well, he was a tackle.
But I mean,
right.
he's been playing center for the Bucs, and now he's out there playing tackle.
That was weird because they kind of hid that all summer, and that they were even going to do that, and they did it kind of at the 11th hour.
They had him in a bunker, training all off.
They did a nice job. But again, you go do that. Now that offensive line that's banged up has to play against that defensive front with those pass rushers and Hunter and Anderson. That's a problem for Baker Mayfield.
Hey, look, the guys from the Texans, that offensive line, they weren't exactly
weren't
sunshine
good
and rainbows,
no,
my
they were
guy.
not.
And they got to play against this defensive front. And I don't care if there's 5 Pro Bowlers up front or there's just one. It's going to be a tough day at the office regardless when you've got the unit that the Houston Texans have. And for C.J. Stroud in this offense, you're trying to take that next step. You're trying to show people you're past that second-year slump. New offensive coordinator, all that. But you mentioned the Monday Night Football record, and I would just say go take a look at Baker Mayfield on the road against opponents that should beat him. and Baker goes and cuts the head off the dragon more often than not. I love Baker Mayfield. I love this receiver room. You mentioned Ibuka. He stepped in and looks like a vet immediately. Give me the Buccaneers.
Bucks better run the ball better than they did last week. They didn't run the ball very well. And that, Bucky Irvin, you expect them to have a big year. They did not run the ball. If they don't run the ball against the Texans and they turn those pass rushers loose, that's going to be a problem.
Concerned at all about that Texans offense? I mean, you mentioned the offensive line,
yes,
C.J. Stroud.
The offensive line. Well, Ed Ingram got hurt on a Thursday. They shuffled them around. It didn't work. Cam Robinson went in at left tackle. They put Ursery at right tackle. They put Howard at right guard. Ideal scenario is Ed Ingram's the right guard. And he's not a very good player either. And they play Ursery at left tackle and play Howard at right tackle. So also the center got banged up. So Andrews, the center, might not play this week. So they got problems.
Okay, let's move to the 10 p.m. Eastern time game, the final game of Week 2. Chargers, 3-point favorites in Vegas against the Raiders, and both of these teams coming off nice Week 1 wins.
I like what I saw from the Raiders. I thought Geno Smith did a really nice job on the road. Now, the Patriots weren't very good last week, but he did some really good things. The defense actually did play better than I thought they would play. They're not loaded with stars on that side of the ball. Max Crosby's one, but everybody else is kind of, got to working their way through some things, trying to become good players. They're young players back there. But I think this is a great spot for the Raiders to hang around. They're not going to win the game, but you're going to give me a field goal. I think it's a 1-2 point game. I'll take the Raiders and the points.
I really like what I've seen from the Raiders, and I know this is kind of like a non-football take, but watching the Raiders celebrate in the away locker room with Pete Carroll, one thing I noticed more than anything I've seen before is smiles in the locker room. Pete Carroll smiling. And his big tatted up number 98, Max Crosby, is ear to ear, okay, getting to go in to the Patriots building and get a win. They showed me a lot. And you know how I feel about Chip Kelly, and I think that Geno Smith is a really good quarterback. But I am still going to go with the Los Angeles Chargers. The way that they play the game of football is how I envision it when I think black and blue football. I think that the keys have been given to Justin Herbert in terms of being able to let his freak flag fly. And we saw it against the Kansas City Chiefs. It is more than enough. And they've got this guy, Joe Alt, that played right tackle. Well, Rashawn Slater went down. I said, well, that's 3 losses. That's 3 wins I'll take off the board for the Chargers. Rashawn Slater, that's how good I think he is. Well, they moved Joe Alt over there, and he looks better than Rashawn Slater.
They're talking about maybe when Slater comes back, he's not going to play left tackle.
That's the question I have moving forward. But look, it's the identity of this football team. They want to wear you out up front. There's nobody that's really popping off the roster defensively that's this blue chip elite guy. Khalil Mack's out there at 32 years old, and he's wearing people out. There's no secret sauce to the Chargers. I love the Chargers in this one.
By the way, we didn't pick any over-unders today, but if I was going to pick one, this is going to get loose. Because the Raiders aren't great on defense, and I don't know if the Chargers are, and I think the Raiders are going to be one of those teams that can score a lot of points this year.
Ashton Genty, not a great start. 19 carries, 38 yards, had the 1 goal line carry where he got in.
He'll do better than that this week.
Okay. Over 46.5. Pete Prisco says, tack that on. We'll have to hold that against you, though, next week.
It doesn't count as a pick.
It's got to count as a pick.
We don't count the over-unders as
Well, then
picks.
what are you giving it to us for?
You don't say what we don't count.
These are bonus picks. Well, we had over-unders last week. We didn't count them, I don't think.
Bring it up with upstairs.
You guys agree
He's
on
in there right now. Producer Jack's in there right now, upstairs.
Packers minus 3.5.
You're going to take me to the principal's office.
They disagree on everything else. We've got more to get to, though.
Ratted me out to the principal.
We've got best bets, and producer Jack and the producers will have a pick after they gave us the Cowboys winner last week. That's up next. Here as we pick every game and give you best bets. All right, Pete and Kyle get to pick every game. The producers and myself only get to pick one, our best bets, and they came through. Wow. It was close for me. I had the Broncos minus 7.5. Producers had Cowboys plus the points. Also a money line sprinkle, but we won't hold that against them. Cowboys almost won that game. Kyle and Pete starting 0 for 1, but let's get it going. Pete, cede the floor to you because you had that 11-6 start overall in Week 1.
I'm going to go with the Arizona Cardinals, and I think they get back home, they score some points on offense, and I don't think Bryce Young and that offense is very good, so I'm going to take the Arizona Cardinals minus the 6.5.
So I've got the Pittsburgh Steelers at home with their guy, Aaron Rodgers, who has still got it. He's still got the juice, 4 touchdowns. Love the dismantling of the New York Jets. But it's going to be the Pittsburgh Steelers, and the story of the game will be that defense and Sam Darnold's inability or ability to attack down the football field. I know they're going to try to challenge him and take the football away. Can that pass rush get it back this week for the Pittsburgh Steelers? I got the Steelers as my best bet.
We need wins in our best bet this week, me and you.
Yep,
I think
let's
we
go.
get them.
Give me some.
Steelers minus 2.5 against Seattle. My pick, I feel like I might be getting fish hooked here. But I love the Cowboys minus 5.5 against the Giants with Russell Wilson starting the game for the Giants. This is in Dallas. I feel like Dallas is going to put up a bunch of points, and can the Giants really put up a bunch of points in this game? I don't know. And you guys were both on that one, right?
Make sure that the blinds are shut on the windows so that CeeDee Lamb can see the football, catch the football.
Work with the jugs machine this week.
Yeah, get on the jugs machine.
And producers, now they're getting a little weird, wild, and woolly here. They're doing a 6-point teaser. Bucks plus 8.5 against the Texans. That's Monday Night Football. And the Jets plus 13 against the Bills.
Producers get weary. They don't get woolly hats.
I actually like that.
Do you?
Yeah, I like that pick.
Bucks plus 8.5. Love it.
But they both have to hit, obviously, in the 6-point teaser.
This is kind of like when Tommy Tran used to pick a teaser every week. We used to call him Tommy Teaser.
Tommy Teaser.
This is where you don't really like any game on the board, so you got to tease a couple to make you feel better about yourself. All right, we are all on favorites. Me, Kyle, Pete. Producer going with a couple of underdogs to not get beat by more than a score, right? Not get beat by 2 scores or more. We've got this show every Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time on CBS Sports HQ. If you don't catch us here, find us on the CBS Sports YouTube page. Thanks for watching.